Hello, second grade. Today we are going to continue with our investigation on mixing solids and liquids together. And in front of us, we have all the different solid materials that we will be working with for the next couple days and observing. So just a recap, we have raisins, a mint, candy cane mint, a wooden stick, we have rice, and mung beans. So each one of these solid materials are in little plastic bags, and in those bags right now we are going to be putting in some water. Now if you would like to try this experiment at home, you can ask your parents or a grown-up, whatever adult is at home with you that helps to take care of you, if you can gather these materials together and do this experiment with us. If not, you can always come back to the video and watch how this experiment is done. So I'm going to move these materials out of the way, and we are going to begin with our first solid to mix with water, which will be the raisins. Okay, now we have the raisins here by itself, and now we are going to begin by mixing in some water. So I'm going to take a measuring cup here, and I'm going to take some water. I'm going to put the water inside of the measuring cup right here, and I'm going to take the bag and then carefully place the water inside. Okay, so I want you to observe now what happens when we put the water inside of the bag with the raisins. So remember the raisins, when we first looked at our materials, how dark they were like a purplish color. Now that we have the water inside, do you still see the same colors? Yes or no? What do you think it feels like now that the water is inside of the bag too? Okay, we see that they're still on the bottom of the baggie. Not a lot of them have floated to the top, which is also another good observation. But I want you to think, I want you to discuss, I want you to record your observations of what the raisins look like right now as soon as we pour the water inside. Because over the next couple days, we're going to watch it very carefully and see if there is any major changes with these raisins. Okay, I'm going to shake it up just a little bit, just to get it ready for its overnight stay. And we are going to move on to the next solid material. Okay, next we have our mung beans. So once again, I'm going to take the same measuring cup, pour in some water, and I'm going to take this bag carefully, pour the water inside, and let's watch and see what happened. Let's observe. So look at that, very interesting. What happened when we put the water inside of the bag with the mung beans? Do you see what happened? Yeah, some mung beans stayed on the bottom of the bag, and then some of them rose to the top of the bag. Sometimes this happens when we're mixing water with beans or other types of solids. So remember, the raisins stayed mostly towards the bottom of the bag, whereas the mung beans, some stayed on top, some stayed on the bottom. Very interesting. So I want you to keep this observation in mind. I want you to keep in mind what it looks like right now. It still has its greenish color. Some are a little brown. As I can feel it inside of the bag, it's still hard. It's still hard beans. So we're going to leave this overnight just like we're going to do with the raisins. And then we're going to watch to see what happens. Let's move on to our next solid material. Okay, our next solid material is our candy cane mint. So we're going to take the same amount of water as we did with the other solids, and we are going to place it inside carefully. And as we look at the bag, the liquid inside, see the water is still clear. We see the mint all the way at the bottom. It hasn't really moved much. It's still hard, just like it was before we put the water inside. Oh, wait, it's changing colors a little bit. I don't know if you guys can see it on camera, but the water is starting to get a little pink. I wonder why. What do you think, little scientists? Why is the water now changing colors as soon as I put it in with the mint? Now remember, the water didn't change colors yet on the raisins or with the mung beans. So why do you think it's now starting to change color with the mint? Make your observations. Don't forget to record them, because we're going to leave our mint overnight and watch to see what happens next. Our next solid is rice. And I think a lot of you may know what happens when we mix rice with water. But just in case you don't know, we are going to investigate. So we're going to put, once again, the water inside carefully. And now, let's see what happened to our rice. So if you can see the rice inside, just like the mung beans, there's some rice that stayed on the bottom, some rice that's here at the top, right, floating. And I don't know if you could tell on camera, but the water actually is starting to change colors a little bit. It's not so clear as it was before. Remember our property words that we use to describe our liquids? What property word would you use to describe this liquid now? It's not transparent anymore. Kind of looks translucent because I can see light on the other side, but it's not so clear. So we see the water starting to change color just like the mint. It's doing some of the things that the mung beans did. So already we're starting to see that some solid objects react the same way when they are mixed with water, and some react differently. But we're going to keep an eye on it. We're going to keep doing our investigation, and we're going to find out in a couple days what happens when it's left overnight. Does it stay the same as it is now, or does it change? Let's move on to our final solid object. Okay, our final solid object. This bag was hard to stay up on its own because it has one little solid object inside compared to the many solid objects that were in the other bags. But this is our wooden stick. So once again, I'm going to take the water. I'm going to place it inside. Oh, I spilled a little bit. And now let's take a close look. So now we have our wooden stick. Remember, before I did say it was a yellow wooden stick. So we're going to see if that makes a difference. Oh, sorry. If that makes a difference, which it might. If you look closely, that water is not so clear anymore. It has kind of a yellow color to it. So think about the solid object that is inside. What is special about this solid object that's making the liquid that it's mixed with change color? I think you can figure that out because I know you all are very smart. So now let's look at all of our bags once again, make our final observations, and then we'll put these bags away overnight so we can watch what happens. So now we have all of our bags. We have our solids and our liquids mixed together. As you can see, there are many changes going on in our baggies, but we will still continue our investigation by keeping them in a safe place overnight and then looking at them tomorrow and then the next day after to see what happens with our solids and our liquids.